Yeah. Hi
Hello.
everybody. How are you?
Hello. I'm happy to. This is Ash. He's calling us from Nepal, and
Hello.
hello. He's an entrepreneur in Nepal and in the fashion business. And it would be great if you could maybe give us a little bit of an oversight what the situation is in Nepal at the moment.
Okay. So I will be first talking about the a little bit of a timeline and then major issues, and then I will talk about the three perspectives of the situation in short.
Yeah. We would, interrupt you every now and then to make a little bit of a translation.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, hang
So
on, let me just introduce you in German. Wie heißt er jetzt?
Ash.
Ash, und er ist ein Unternehmer in Nepal.
Genau, ist ein Fashion-Modedesigner und ist da.
Okay, go ahead, please.
okay.
In Kathmandu.
So in Nepal, the first case was confirmed in January 23, and then second case was confirmed in March 23rd. So the lockdown here, the government decided to do the lockdown on March 25. And after 4 months, in July 21st, there was a protest from young group of people. Like thousands of young people came in the streets near the Prime Minister's office and demanded that government is just doing lockdown and nothing very responsible. So after that, the lockdown was lifted. But the schools are still closed, airports still closed, and intercity connection buses are all closed until now. And from tomorrow, government is starting. Lockdown is over, but there are restrictions. And from tomorrow, government is starting the shutdown. They are shutting down certain areas, like the city center, and closing the shops. So the reason they are showing is because the police and the government officers are now tested positive. This is the timeline.
So how many, okay, ich würde mal kurz sagen, ich hatte es jetzt verstanden, dass ich glaube im Januar, 23., also im Januar gab es einen bestätigten Fall und dann gab es wieder am 23. März gab es wieder einen Fall und dann wurde am 25. März schon der Lockdown beschlossen.
So the lockdown happened on March 25th, correct?
Just a second. Yes, the lockdown happened on March 25th.
And this was the case with only 2 confirmed positive tested cases, yes. No one dead. Is that correct?
Yeah, no one dead. At that time, the lockdown started.
Okay, also mit lediglich 2 positiven Testergebnissen, keinen Toten, wurde der Lockdown verhängt.
Are you sure? Only 2 positive tests? No one had died? No one had died?
Yeah, no one died. In fact, there is little bit irony that the Nepal government was actually promoting, when there was no case until January 25, Nepal government was promoting Chinese tourists to come to Nepal because there is COVID in China, but Nepal is safe. They were saying that, and they were inviting Chinese tourists actually.
Also sagt,
okay, es ist ja wirklich grotesk. Also er sagt, dass die Regierung in Nepal sogar Leute aus China, Touristen aus China eingeladen hat, doch gerne nach Nepal zu kommen, weil Nepal ein sicheres Reiseland ist, weil es dort überhaupt keinen Fall gibt. Und also der Lockdown scheint auch relativ massiv zu sein. Da sind Schulen geschlossen und also schon seit langer Zeit Busse fahren nicht mehr, Reisemöglichkeiten bestehen nicht mehr. Und jetzt Flughäfen geschlossen, also im Prinzip alles, was man sich so vorstellen kann. Und jetzt soll wohl morgen oder zeitnah eine Öffnung kommen und das betrifft dann, aber wird es trotzdem Shutdowns in verschiedenen Gegenden wird es weiterhin geben.
So I'm not quite sure if I understood you correctly. Is the lockdown still going on, or are they going to start opening up the country again tomorrow?
Okay, I will repeat. They opened after the protest. They opened on July 21st. They opened the lockdown, but they opened only partially, and schools are still closed since March. Airports are closed. Intercity buses are closed.
Okay, also es gab wohl Proteste von jungen Leuten, im Juli, die dazu geführt haben, dass der Lockdown ein wenig jedenfalls gelockert wurde, aber nicht wirklich, weil die Schulen sind alle noch so. So the schools are still closed, all of them?
Yeah, all of them schools are still closed. We are having a little bit of online classes, but that is also not all schools, only like some private schools.
What did this do to the economy?
Yeah, economy is also like badly hit because government also said that they are not giving any discount on tax or bank interest rates. So, and also no relief package for the people, you know, like there is some people who work on daily wages, there is no relief package. So that is why economy is hit really badly. And we depend on tourism and the remittance. That's our major source of GDP. So that is why it is badly hit.
Also die Wirtschaft ist schwer getroffen.
Es gibt weder Unterstützungsleistungen und noch dazu überhaupt keine Stundungsmöglichkeiten oder sonstige steuerliche Vergünstigungen oder sowas in der Art.
Is there really no governmental aid, no financial support from the government?
Yeah, let's take my example. So since last 5 months, I have not got anything. Nobody even has called me. Nobody even has talked to me from government. So, and I went to the nearest the metropolitan city, and like there is no response, you know, like for me. If maybe there are some people who have contacts or some political influence, so I don't know about them. But for general people, there is no response from the government.
Okay, das ist echt böse. Der normale Bürger sozusagen oder der nicht über irgendwelche Connections verfügt, kriegt überhaupt gar keine Unterstützung und muss gucken, wie er über die Runden kommt.
How do you survive?
Basically, we are just surviving. My wife is a teacher, so she's doing her online classes. And since the lockdown opened, I also started working a little bit, and we have some savings. It's really not. The future seems really difficult. Actually, I also discontinued my daughter's education, like online classes. It's not easy for us.
Also seine Frau ist Lehrerin, über die verdient er ein bisschen und nach der leichten Öffnung hat er auch wieder angefangen zu arbeiten, verdient auch ein bisschen, aber die Zukunft sieht nicht gut aus. The future doesn't look so bright, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look so bright.
And what is the situation with like cases or dead people now in Nepal?
Yeah, mortality rates.
Yeah, okay. As of today, the mortality rate is 70 people, 70. And totally infected is 22,214.
27 dead. 27 dead?
70.
Or 70? 70 dead, that's all.
Yeah, that's all. And since last 2-3 days, like the number of the government increased the test and the number of infected is growing. So like per day, it's like our population is about 35 million. That is our population, and per day is like, and out of 35 million, we have 22,000 people until now and 70 dead. And recently, the number is coming from 200 new cases every day to 300 or so. And today is 464 new cases.
But these cases are only cases that people who are tested positive, not necessarily sick people, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Oh man. Also auch da ist das
Do you know something about the number of tests that is done in in Nepal?
Okay, until today, I don't know the exact number. I checked like 2-3 days back, but it is like about nearly 200,000 tests done until now.
Altogether?
Yeah, altogether. And out of that, a lot of RDT tests were done in the beginning. Not the PCR test, but the RDT tests. They were done. I would also like to give you a little bit situation about the major issues that's happening, because this will give you a better picture about what we are discussing about.
Ja, give me 1 second to translate.
Ja,
oder mach du's?
also die haben in Nepal gibt es jetzt, das sind ca. 30 Millionen Menschen, 32 Millionen Menschen. Davon die haben 200.000 Tests durchgeführt in der ganzen Zeit. 22.000 circa waren positiv, aber ohne Erkrankung oder unbekannt, ob erkrankt oder nicht, aber überwiegend wohl nicht erkrankt. Und es gibt 70 Tote. Und
aber das ganze Land ist dicht.
Dafür vollziehen sich alle diese Dinge. Okay, yes, let's hear what you...
Okay, so I want to discuss about the major issues we are facing because of this crisis, not just the sickness and all, but just major issues. Because in Nepal, we have 5 million migrants and students who are outside of Nepal, and especially in India and Middle East and some parts of Korea and Australia, who want to come back because of this COVID, because there they are losing jobs or they have some situation. So that is why they want to come back. This was a major big issue for the Nepal government. And they had $90 million US fund they got from the abroad, and this was misused, and there is no transparency, and they are not giving any details about this. And when few of people I know, they went to ask the details of this, and they were arrested. And the quarantine is very poor, and there is also one case that there was a rape in the quarantine, attempt rape in quarantine by the volunteer. It was a very pathetic situation. And no relief package for the people, and tax discounts and discount in rent or bank interest discounts, which I discussed earlier. So this is the scenario the people are facing, not just being sick, but migrant people want to come here, and there is a rule that they have to be in quarantine, and the quarantine, you can imagine how to fit 5 million people in a quarantine, how to even get them here, So these are the biggest issues, and the mismanagement of $90 million US was one of the biggest questions the youth raised to the government, and came to the streets asking them to open the lockdown because they have to get back to work. So this is also the major issue, besides the COVID in itself.
Oh, so, also in Nepal gibt es wohl 5 Millionen Nepalesen, die außerhalb von Nepal arbeiten, in Australien, Indien und anderen Orten. Und da war die Idee, dass die zurückkommen sollten wegen Covid. Und in dem Zusammenhang gab es wohl auch Gelder, die das ermöglichen sollten, $90 Millionen, die irgendwohin verschwunden sind.
Do you have any idea what happened to those $90 million?
Basically, the government after the protest, government gave a rough figure that it was not satisfied. They didn't give a clear picture. We do not know what happened with it. And few of my friends who are lawyers, they went to ask for it, and they did not receive the letter asking for the details. And second time when other friends went, so they were actually detained for a whole day in a police club, and we had a big issue. So this is one big problem. And I would also like to bring forward, as I said earlier, the 3 scenarios of our situation. What is happening here, there are 3 pictures, 3 ways to look at it, So the first one is from the government point of view, and the second one is from the public point of view, and third one, which is very important, is from the protester point of view. Here we are having a protest. So there is one young 26-year-old kid who is staying without food and water for last 21 days. And he is demanding good response, proper response of COVID from government. And still today, he's I have a newspaper where in today's newspaper, they took his interview. I don't know if it's really clear. I can send the link later, but he is in the hospital now. Oh. So he is without food and water, demanding government for the where did that money go, $90 million go, and why government is not responding properly. So he had his demands, and we are also supporting him. And so this is the scenario right now, so there are 3 perspectives to look at the situation.
Okay, let me quickly translate. So,
thank you.
Also da ist anscheinend ein junger Mann, der sich in Hungerstreik begeben hat, um eben auch diese Sache mit den $90 Millionen aufzuklären und einen vernünftigen Umgang mit den ganzen Sachen. Und der ist also quasi ohne Nahrung, ohne Trinken eine ganze Zeit lang hat er sich eben in diesem Streik befunden, ist inzwischen im Krankenhaus. Also es scheint Menschen zu geben, die jetzt wirklich mit allem Druck da eine Aufklärung der Angelegenheit, auch dieses sich da drauf sattelnden Unterschlagungsdelikts verlangen.
How old is this student, and for how long has he been on a hunger strike?
Okay, there has been 2 phases of hunger strike. So the first one, hunger strike, he went on during this month of July for 12 days, he and other friends. So in the end, for 12 days, they stayed for hunger strike. They were like 26-year-old, and another person was in his early 30s. And at that time, the Prime Minister of our country visited these people in the hospital and signed a 12-point agreement, promising the proper response within 7 days. But even after 12 days, they did not do it. They just lied. And for the second time, this guy stayed, where there was also one LGBT from this one girl from LGBT community. She also stayed for about 11 days. And now this guy.
Jetzt haben wir ihn möglicherweise verloren. Übersetzen wir zwischendrin.
Also es scheint es scheint ein Mittel zu sein, deren man sich da in Nepal gerne bedient. Es scheint ja, ich habe es jetzt so verstanden, dass es insgesamt vier Personen waren, die immer wieder mal in Hungerstreik getreten sind. Und bei einem Fall war auch der Premierminister ist dann offenbar sogar ins Krankenhaus gekommen und hat dann eine Art Abrede getroffen, dass er binnen 7 Tagen die entsprechenden Unterlagen herausgeben sollte. Hat er dann aber nicht gemacht. Und jetzt sind wir leider gerade da. Es ist offenbar abgestürzt. Müssen wir vielleicht mal einen Moment warten. Ich glaube, es hat sich bei Wolfgang aufgehangen, glaube ich. Ich weiß nicht, ist der Ash, ist der wieder aufgetaucht? Oder?
Nee. Ja, ist auch wieder dabei. Ja.
Ash, are you still there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, I had the power cut, so yeah, I'm back here.
Was that an accident, or did somebody intentionally cut your power?
No. We usually have like load sheddings, like power cuts more often.
Also es gibt da offenbar Schwankungen in der Stromversorgung.
It was from the authority, not at home. So yeah, I like to correct the figure that I gave before about the total test that has happened. I said like it is 200,000, but I just checked. That was like a couple of days ago, but now it's like 419,000.
Of people who tested positive.
Yeah, who tested? No. The total test done is that much.
Okay. The total 400,000 tests have been completed.
Yeah,
okay, I got it.
Yeah. And people tested positive is 22,000, and out of them, like 15,000 have already gone home. Like, and now, like, there are about 6,000 people active cases.
6,000 people who were tested positive, right?
Yeah, who are tested positive, they are still in like a hospital or quarantine or like various places.
Okay.
Okay, aber müssen nicht krank sein. Okay, alles
klar. And one thing I like to point is like here the public, they really want to go back to work. But the government is trying to force the lockdown, and the protesters are saying that try to come up with a better response, you know, like just don't do the lockdown and wait for things to happen by itself. So that is the situation here right now. And we are actually helpless because we are not even allowed to go and protest, and they like detain us. And so it's a very like bad situation here. So, and also another thing I like to add is government recently also said that if you do not wear a mask, then we have like a fine of like $1. That's Nepali 100 rupees.
And how
so
much,
if you are not...
Is this a huge amount of money? What can you buy with the dollar? Is that how much is the average salary in Nepal?
Okay, so our average salary is like $150 a month. That's like a average salary, yeah.
Okay, also sagt...
But there are a lot of people...
Ja, let me just quickly translate.
Yeah, sure.
Also 400.000 Tests hat es gegeben. Proteste werden offenbar nicht zugelassen, sondern sind aus irgendeinem Grunde illegal. Leute, die ohne Maske erwischt werden, müssen $1 zahlen. Das ist ein nicht ganz kleiner Teil des durchschnittlichen monatlichen Einkommens von $150. So, is that correct that protests are illegal, that the government is trying to keep people from protesting? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's is 100% correct. And like we also did a lot of creative protests, like trying to do a music and I also did like a runway with models with the signs on their body, like very peaceful protests. But the government do not allow any protests now. They are like just and trying to take our rights of protesting, you know.
Is there military on the street? Is there military?
Currently we don't have military here in the city, but we have this armed police force, you know, like who are like somewhere between military and the regular police. So we do have them in the street.
A little earlier, you told us that in July there were, I think, student protests on the streets, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And
yes.
Ich übersetze noch mal ganz kurz. Also wir hatten jetzt noch die Information, dass diese Proteste, also wir haben kein Militär in den Straßen, aber es sind bewaffnete Polizeieinheiten,
spezielle Polizeieinheiten, die ein bisschen schwerer bewaffnet sind.
Kontrollieren sozusagen, was da los ist.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is the same group of people who is in the hunger strike.
Aha.
Who did the protest in July? It's the same group of people, which are mostly like non-political people and who are like students and artists and designers. Like these people are in the protest, but I believe that in our country we do not have the full information. Like we are not in a situation like European countries to say that this the whole thing is right or wrong, because the government also does not allow to tell us a lot of things here, and also we do not have that intellectual support for us to understand. Like we do not have scientists like directly in contact who can give us that information about this situation, you know, because we are just given information from media and from the government that if you are positive, then you stay home, and so we don't know whom to ask. We don't have that access to that information, you know, like.
Okay, also anders als hier, anders als in Europa, gibt es noch nicht mal die grundsätzliche Möglichkeit, sich eine andere Meinung anzuhören, weil offenbar die Wissenschaftler, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, gar nicht vorhanden sind, die man fragen könnte.
Ich denke, mir ist das ja auch eine sehr spezielle Gruppe von Wissenschaftlern, also irgendwelche Virologen, Biomediziner gibt es vielleicht in dem Umfang tatsächlich gar nicht. So you don't have so many virologists or biomedicines like gene tech people or like who could really understand what's going on.
So where do you get your information? From the internet? Are you looking for alternative sources of knowledge by looking into the alternative media on the internet?
Yes, I have been living without phone for 3 years, so I'm not so much into the internet directly, but I always talk to people, write them emails, and even during this protest time, I'm going every day to this place where there is hunger strike, and out there are a lot of young people who are like students, and like I also talked with one of the guys only today about this the protest in Berlin, and I also told him that how we can do this thing. He just came back from US after his PhD. So I talk with these kind of people and trying to get the information. So I totally do not depend on the internet because it's very confusing, you know.
Das ist ja ein Ding. Also er holt sich seine Informationen nicht aus dem Internet, sondern über E-Mails und lässt sich dann von seinen Freunden offenbar informieren. Vielleicht holen die Informationen aus dem Internet. Wichtig war, glaube ich, eben noch zu wissen, dass die Proteste offenbar von jungen Leuten, von Studenten und Künstlern und Designern, so wie ihm, angeführt werden. How large are the protests? Is it just a very small group of people?
Okay, yeah. Nobody knows the exact numbers, but when there was in July 21st, there were like at least 3,000 to 4,000 people. But in the Facebook, they have a group called COVID Nepal. So this group was formed in July, And within like couple of weeks, it had like 200,000 members. And in the protest area, usually it's more like not same people come every day, but since the lockdown was like partially open, so some people are coming some days. So there are like at least 100 to 200 people every day at that time. But now since this hunger strike guy has gone to hospital, so it's like we are like just in the virtual space now. In the physical space, like we don't see people because we are not allowed to protest. They arrest us, and like we are talking to each other in the like through Instagram and all like this.
Aha. Also die Proteste finden nicht mehr auf der Straße statt, sondern über die sozialen Medien. Und bei den Protesten im Juli, die da auf der Straße stattfanden, waren es 3.000 oder 4.000. Das ist ja für so ein kleines Land schon ganz schön viel. Aber es hat sich da gleich noch so eine Gruppe im Internet gebildet. Und da sollen 200.000 oder 300.000 sogar gewesen sein. So this large group that gathered in the internet, that group is big enough. That's called COVID Nepal, or what was the name?
Yeah.
How many people? How many people is that? 300,000?
Yeah, 200,000 members. That's in the Facebook. So this group is called COVID. Enough is enough. COVID Nepal. Yeah. So
enough is enough.
Yeah, it's just linked with the other enough. But this is mostly like people didn't want to stay home, and like government is doing nothing, and so that's why they just borrowed that enough is enough title from there, and that's the movement called. It's called Satyagraha. The movement is called Satyagraha, which means like Satya means truth, and Agraha means request. So that's the name of the campaign actually in Nepal, in local language, in Nepali language.
Also die Gruppe heißt Genug ist genug. Ja, wollen wir jetzt noch mal gucken, da war noch jemand eben in der Leitung.